Get ready to delve into the most unsettling cases of missing persons. These 5 recordings, a mix of desperation, fear, and confusion, will leave you speechless and searching for answers.
This is me, July 29th, 2008. It is 12:33 Mountain Time. Covering all my bases, making sure that if something happens to me or my family or all of us, that our assets are documented. Hope everything works out and we're all happy and live happily ever after as much as that's possible. This is all stuff bought in a year or less through Home Depot on my credit. Josh bought a lot of stuff and then he had to bankrupt it. And then he bought a little bit more on my credit. There's a nice lamp. These are things to roll wood with. And I had necklaces too. I don't know where those are. I just got in a rage, as you can see, and broke this. There's duds and pearls and opals in there. Broke this and threw all my DVDs and made a mess because he was angry at me. This was about a year or 2 back.
29th July 2008. Susan Powell, a mother of 2, recorded a video where she documented herself at her home in Utah in case something happened to her. Video was made on her attorney's advice when her husband attempted to sell some of her most expensive assets. Couple's marriage has been under a lot of strain. During the video, Susan says things haven't been good with them. Although she was seeing a divorce attorney and planned on leaving him, they were still living together. In the early hours of December 6th, Susan attended church with her 2 young sons. Later that evening, a neighbor stopped by her house, leaving around 5 p.m. That night, Josh, Susan's husband, allegedly took their sons, Charlie and Brayden, on a sudden camping trip in the middle of a snowstorm to a remote site on the Pony Express Trail. According to Josh, Susan had stayed home because she was tired. The following day, Susan's family grew worried when her sons weren't dropped off at daycare, leading them to report her missing. When Josh returned from the camping trip, he claimed Susan was sleeping peacefully when he left and had no idea where she might be. Despite a search of their Utah home revealing no signs of foul play, the investigation took a dark turn. Inside Susan's safe deposit box, police found a will in which she noted Josh had recently taken out a $1 million life insurance policy on her. Eerily, she had written, "If I die, it may not be an accident." About 10 days after her disappearance, authorities discovered that Josh had attempted to withdraw funds from a retirement account, raising further suspicion. Although he was named a person of interest, Josh was never formally charged. His behavior only fueled suspicion. He showed little genuine interest in finding Susan, even as a mountain of evidence grew. During the investigation, authorities attempted to question the couple's young sons. Although the boys mentioned that Josh had taken Susan with them on the camping trip, their statements were unreliable, as they made outlandish claims, such as traveling by airplane. Shortly afterward, Josh moved with his sons back to Washington. However, due to concerns about their safety, authorities eventually removed the boys from his custody. On February 5, 2012, during a supervised visit, Josh tragically killed himself and his sons by setting his house on fire. This horrific act was seen as a final admission of guilt in Susan's disappearance. In the years that followed, the investigation turned to Josh's brother and father, both of whom were suspected of withholding information. Authorities believe Josh's brother Michael had helped conceal Susan's body, but the case stalled after Michael died by suicide in 2013. A decade later, Susan's father won a lawsuit against Washington State, awarding him nearly $100 million for negligence in protecting his grandsons. Much of this sum was donated to charities supporting domestic violence survivors. Each year, people in Susan's hometown of Puyallup, Washington, continue to gather in her memory. Her last video, detailing her possessions just in case, took on an eerie significance in hindsight, as many now wonder if she had sensed the danger she was in. Despite some tips about possible locations of her remains, all leads have gone cold, leaving Susan's final resting place still unknown. Amber Tuccaro was a 20-year-old First Nations woman from Fort McMurray, Alberta. In August 2012, she flew to Edmonton International Airport for a short vacation, booking a hotel room with her 1-year-old son and a female friend. That evening, excited for the trip, she decided to hitchhike alone into the city. Tragically, Amber was never seen again after that night. When she failed to return to the hotel the following day, her friend alerted Amber's mother, who quickly contacted the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Amber was soon listed as a missing person. During their investigation, authorities discovered she had received a phone call while in the presence of an unidentified man. The recording of this call is haunting, as it marks the last known moment anyone heard Amber's voice.
Where are we by?
We're just heading south of Beaumont, or north of Beaumont.
We're heading north of Beaumont. Yo, where are we going? No, this is a... Are you f***ing kidding me? You better not take me anywhere I don't want to go. I want to go into the city. Jeez. Yo, we're not going into the city, are we?
We're going.
No, we're not.
Yes.
Then where are these roads going to?
50th Street.
50th Street. Are you sure?
Absolutely.
Yo, where are we going?
50th Street.
50th Street?
50th Street.
East, right?
East.
Over town.
Bravo.
Bravo.
In the recording, a male driver can be heard assuring Amber that they're headed where she wants to go. But Amber's voice betrays her growing unease and distress. On August 28th, the police released this chilling audio to the public. Yet they didn't begin a formal investigation into her disappearance until over a month after Amber was reported missing. When Amber's mother urged the police to take action, they dismissed her concerns, suggesting Amber was likely out partying and would return soon.
Tragically, just 4 days after the audio was released, Amber's remains were discovered on a rural property near Leduc County by a group of horseback riders. One of the most troubling aspects of this case is the mishandling by the authorities. Just 1 month into the search, Amber was removed from the missing persons list due to unconfirmed anonymous sightings in Edmonton. It took her mother another month to convince them to relist her, but by then, evidence, including items recovered from her hotel, had already been accidentally destroyed. Over the years, multiple women have come forward identifying the same man as the voice in the recording, yet authorities never named him as a person of interest. Recently, another man claimed that the voice belonged to his father, an American who had lived on a ranch near Edmonton, and who he believes may be linked to other unsolved disappearances in the area. The recording is haunting, with the man's insincere reassurance painfully clear as he responds with an unconvincing, "absolutely," when Amber asks if they're really headed into the city. Many believe the police's unprofessional handling of the case stemmed from discrimination against Amber as an Indigenous woman. Though the case remains unsolved, there is hope that one day we'll learn the truth of what happened to Amber Tuccaro. In late 2014, a YouTuber named Veach, using the username SnakebitMcGee, left a mysterious comment on a video titled Area 51 Technician, Sun Discloses Secret Alternative Energy. He wrote about a strange experience he had while hiking near Nellis Air Force Base. Kenny described finding a cave shaped like a perfect M, and noted that while he typically explored every cave he encountered, this one was different. As he approached the entrance, his whole body began to vibrate intensely, and the sensation worsened the closer he got. Overcome by fear, Kenny turned back and left the area, calling it one of the strangest moments he'd ever experienced. Kenny's comment quickly drew attention, with some viewers doubting his story, while others encouraged him to locate the cave again and document it. Spurred on by their interest, Kenny agreed to make another attempt. On October 18th of that year, he uploaded a video of himself on a long-distance hike through the Nevada desert, trying to find the mysterious cave once more.
Well, here I am on my hike up here in the mountains north of Las Vegas. This is a canyon I just walked up Now you can't tell, but my truck is way out there by the mountains at the very, very end of this valley.
At the beginning of the video, Kenny stands at the top of an abandoned mine shaft and gives his viewers an introduction into the monstrous hike that lies ahead of him that day. As the day goes on, he continues to record what he sees as he travels through the Mojave Desert trying to locate the cave again.
There's some interesting stuff coming up here. Look, see those? Look at that. Kind of right there. That's kind of cool. All right, I'm gonna turn it off and then I'll turn it back on here. Look at that, that's pretty cool right there. Huh.
In his final video, Kenny couldn't locate the mysterious cave, which led to harsh criticism from viewers, accusing him of being a fraud and urging him to search for it again. Among the many comments challenging him, one stood out as ominous. A user named LY Killmister warned him, "Do not go back there. If you find that cave entrance, don't go in, you won't get out." Despite this unsettling advice, on November 10th, Kenny set off on a solo overnight hiking trip, once again hoping to find the cave in the Mojave Desert. Tragically, this would be the last time he was seen. 12 days later, on November 22, 2014, search and rescue volunteers found Kenny's phone near an abandoned mine shaft he had pointed out in a previous video. With no further clues, the case went cold, and Kenny's body was never found. Following his disappearance, theories emerged. Some suggested he had fallen down the shaft or succumbed to the harsh desert conditions. Others speculated he might have stumbled upon a hidden crime or even a secret military base. However, a comment posted by a woman named Sharon Pilgrim, who identified herself as Kenny's girlfriend, offered a different perspective. She revealed that Kenny had long battled depression, refused medication, and had recently quit his job. In her words, she believed he had taken his own life and intentionally left his phone at the shaft to avoid being tracked. Though her comment added a plausible and deeply personal explanation, the case remains unsolved. Over the years, other YouTubers have found caves resembling the M shape in the same area, with one even marked by a Danger Restricted Area sign. Whether or not Kenny took his own life, his mysterious disappearance continues to raise questions, leaving this case unresolved. On September 8, 2015, a man named Tim from Mountain View, Minnesota, reported that his friend, 32-year-old Henry McCabe, had gone missing. Henry, a Liberian immigrant and an auditor with the Department of Revenue, had attended a barbecue earlier that day, hosted by a friend named Emmanuel. He later left the gathering to go to a nightclub around 11 p.m. After speaking with two acquaintances who were with Henry that night, authorities soon realized they had a challenging case. According to these friends, Henry had been drinking heavily at the SAA nightclub in Spring Lake and left around 2 a.m. He then asked one of the friends, William, to drop him off at a nearby gas station rather than take him directly home, which William found unusual. Shortly after 2:20 a.m., Henry called his wife, sounding disoriented and distressed. Concerned, Henry's wife attempted to contact one of his friends for help, but they didn't answer. However, the friend's voicemail inadvertently recorded the last 2 minutes of Henry's conversation with his wife, capturing a series of unsettling sounds and words that deepened the mystery of his disappearance. The audio recording of Henry's voicemail was nearly impossible to decipher due to the combination of growls, moans, and screams. The disturbing message made it difficult to determine what was happening, but it sounded like someone was being attacked. That same evening, another acquaintance called Henry and reported hearing an altercation in the background. However, Henry's wife, McCabe, downplayed the incident, describing the sounds as out of character for her usually articulate husband. Despite her concerns, she only made one call to a friend and then went back to bed. Following Henry's disappearance, his phone records showed multiple calls to a Texas number that was later disconnected. It remains unclear whether Henry or someone else made these calls. The investigation took a strange turn when police couldn't find footage of William's car at the gas station where Henry was supposedly dropped off. William later changed his story, claiming he dropped Henry off at a different gas station. A confidential FBI informant revealed suspicious behavior by Emmanuel, the barbecue host, and 3 other men during the search for Henry. On October 2nd, an anonymous letter was sent to the police department, leading them to search Rush Lake, where Henry's body was eventually found on November 2nd. Despite the lack of evidence on Henry's body, investigators considered foul play, forced drowning, or suicide as possible explanations. The case remains shrouded in mystery. In the summer of 2013, Brandon Lawson, a 26-year-old oil worker from Texas, vanished under mysterious circumstances. On August 8th, Brandon arrived home from work and got into an argument with his long-term girlfriend. The couple had been experiencing tension due to Brandon's relentless work schedule and recent relapse into addiction. The argument escalated, and Brandon left his home in San Angelo around midnight, driving away in his silver Ford F-150. This was the last time he was seen. Approximately half an hour later, Brandon called his brother Kyle, stating he was stranded a few miles south of Bronte, out of gas. Kyle retrieved a gas can from Brandon's house and prepared to drive to his brother's location. However, things took a dark turn. At 12:50 a.m., Brandon made a distressing call to 911, revealing the complexity of this disappearance. Brandon's 911 call would become a pivotal piece of evidence in the investigation, shedding light on the strange events that unfolded.
Oh, an emergency?
Yes, I'm in the middle of the field. It's like we're just pushing some guys over. Right here going towards Javelin on both sides. My truck ran out of gas. There's one car here. Got taken to the woods. Please hurry.
Okay, now run that by me.
I'm not talking to him. I actually ran into him.
Ah, you ran into him. Okay.
Got the first guy.
Do you need an ambulance?
Yeah, no, I need the cops.
Okay. Is anybody hurt? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Brandon's 911 call was unsettling, with many alleging gunshots and voices in the background. 8 minutes later, another driver reported a silver F-150 parked hazardously on the highway. Brandon continued contacting his brother Kyle, sounding extremely paranoid and claiming he was being chased by Mexicans. Kyle arrived at the scene, but Brandon was nowhere to be found. Brandon made disturbing statements, claiming he was bleeding and needed help. Despite a massive search effort with helicopters and thermal cameras, Brandon remained missing. It was later discovered that Brandon had cashed out his 401k, suggesting a voluntary disappearance. However, his distressed calls suggest possible foul play or cartel involvement. In February 2022, a search party found shoes and clothing matching Brandon's description. Human remains were discovered nearby, but testing has yet to confirm whether they belong to Brandon. The case remains a mystery, leaving Brandon's family seeking closure. Thank you for watching. These recordings serve as a haunting reminder of the unsolved mysteries that haunt our world. Our thoughts are with the families and loved ones of those who remain missing,